Real barbecue is wood, smoke, time, and quality meat. There is nowhere to hide. The meat tells you everything, which is exactly why chain BBQ is so revealing, because the shortcuts show up immediately in the flavor, the texture, and the bark. Here's every major chain in the category, ranked from worst to best. Number 6. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. Dickey's is the largest BBQ chain in the country by number of locations. It is not the best. It's not close to the best. It might be the worst large-scale BBQ operation in the country, and the distance between its scale and its quality is genuinely remarkable. The franchise model at Dickey's has been widely documented as problematic. Rapid expansion without the quality controls that real barbecue demands. Barbecue is not a cuisine that tolerates operational inconsistency. You cannot hand a pitmaster's checklist to a franchisee with no real BBQ background and expect consistent results across 500 locations. What you get instead is what Dickey's delivers. A range of outcomes where the floor is very low and the ceiling rarely gets reached. The brisket is the most damning item on the menu because brisket is the cut that most honestly reveals the quality of a BBQ operation. Good brisket requires 12 to 16 hours of careful smoking at controlled temperatures, with a crust of rendered fat and bark on the outside, and moist, tender slices inside. Dickey's brisket at many locations is dry, harshly over-smoked, without the depth that real smoke rings produce, and sliced in a way that suggests it was cooked in advance and held, rather than served with any timing intention. The sodium content is high across the menu. The sides are largely unremarkable. The value seems attractive. Low prices, large portions. But low-priced food that isn't worth eating is not a bargain by any definition. It's just cheap. If Dickey's is your only option, order the pulled pork. It's harder to ruin than brisket, and is the one item that tends to survive the franchise model most intact. But if you have alternatives, take them every time. Number 5. Famous Dave's. Famous Dave's was genuinely good once. The brand was built on a real award-winning sauce legacy and what sounded like a genuine passion for barbecue. That origin story has been used to sell a lot of meals that no longer live up to it. The core problem is inconsistency combined with pricing that doesn't reflect current execution. Famous Dave's is franchise-heavy, and real barbecue at scale requires real oversight. What you too often get is meat that was finished in a warmer rather than properly smoked. The ribs can be tender, but tender from braising and tender from actual smoke are not the same thing. One has depth and complexity in every bite. The other has tenderness and nothing else. The pricing sits at the premium end of the casual dining BBQ space. A full rib dinner can approach $25 to $30. At that price point, the expectation should be craft. The delivery is too often mediocre. You're paying for a brand and a sauce legacy that a chain stopped consistently earning a long time ago. The sodium picture is alarming. The Georgia chopped pork sandwich alone runs close to 1,700 milligrams of sodium. The Wilbur beans as a side add another 800. You can consume 3+ days worth of sodium in a single Famous Dave's meal without making choices that feel excessive. That's a structural problem with how everything is seasoned and sauced, not an edge case. The sides have defenders: the corn on the cob, the coleslaw, the cornbread muffins, and they're fair enough. But sides don't carry a BBQ restaurant. The meat does. And the meat at Famous Dave's no longer justifies the reputation it's still charging you for. Number 4. Sonny's BBQ. Sonny's is a regional chain concentrated in the Southeast, and it occupies an honest middle position in the chain BBQ landscape. Not excellent, not bad, but a reliable option that gets the fundamentals mostly right. The pulled pork is the standout item. It has genuine smoke flavor, real texture from being properly pulled rather than processed into a paste, and enough caramelized exterior from the cook to give it some complexity. It's not the pulled pork you'd get from a legendary roadside pit in the Carolinas, but by chain standards, it's a competent and satisfying version of the real thing. The ribs are decent, smoked adequately, with a sauce that complements rather than overwhelms. The chicken is one of the better proteins on the menu, particularly the smoked chicken, which retains moisture and picks up real smoke flavor throughout. The value is genuinely strong. Sonny's is priced like a casual dining chain, but doesn't charge a premium for the brand name the way Famous Dave's does. Portions are generous. The sides, baked beans, coleslaw, corn, are made from real components and taste like it. The health picture is what you'd expect from BBQ chain dining. High sodium, high fat, not a cuisine for the calorie conscious, but the base proteins aren't drowning in added sodium before the sauce is applied, which puts Sonny's ahead of chains that over-process everything before it hits the grill. The consistency is Sonny's real asset. You mostly know what you're getting. In BBQ chain dining, that's not a small thing. Number 3, Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel is more Southern comfort food than pure BBQ, but it belongs in this conversation because it draws from the same culinary tradition, competes for the same customer, and does something that almost no chain in this space manages consistently. It makes the food taste like it was cooked with intention. The chicken and dumplings taste like your grandmother's. The meatloaf tastes like meatloaf made from scratch, dense, seasoned, with a ketchup glaze on top that caramelizes properly. The biscuits are genuinely excellent, layered, buttery, with a crumb structure that you only get from real biscuit technique, not from pre-portioned frozen dough. These are dishes that require some real craft to execute at chain scale, and Cracker Barrel executes them consistently. The value is outstanding and barely needs defending. A complete meal, protein, 2 or 3 sides, biscuits or cornbread for under $12 at most locations. Portions are generous. The price point is accessible for families, which is clearly the core customer, and a customer Cracker Barrel respects rather than extracts from. The health picture is honest and shouldn't surprise anyone. Cracker Barrel is comfort food from the American South. Fried chicken, biscuits and gravy, chicken pot pie, macaroni and cheese. These dishes are not designed for nutritional efficiency, and they don't pretend to be. The calorie counts are high, the sodium runs high, the fat content is high. If you're eating here, you know the trade-off you're making. The difference is that the trade-off comes with genuinely delicious, real ingredient cooking, rather than processed approximations of those dishes. Cracker Barrel is what it is, and it's very good at being exactly that. In a category full of chains that can't live up to their own positioning, that honesty and execution count for a lot. Number 2, Texas Roadhouse. Texas Roadhouse shouldn't be as good as it is. It's a high-volume chain that serves hundreds of covers per night, runs on a franchise model, and prices itself aggressively for value. By every structural indicator, it should be mediocre. It isn't. The steaks are the headline and the real story. Texas Roadhouse butchers its beef in-house. Every location has a butcher on staff who cuts steaks from hand-selected sub-primals. The meat is then aged and seasoned with the house rub before it's grilled to order. That process, in-house butchery, hand-cut steaks, proper aging, cooked to order, is what a real steakhouse does. The fact that a chain doing dinner for $14 to $18 is doing it this way is remarkable, and the flavor of the steak reflects it. The ribs are smoked low and slow, fall off the bone without being the overcooked paste that some chains produce, and have real smoke penetration through the meat rather than just on the surface. The fall off the bone test, contrary to popular belief, isn't actually the gold standard for ribs. Properly smoked ribs should have a slight pull from the bone. But Texas Roadhouse's version errs on the right side of tender. The made-from-scratch sides are a serious differentiator. The mashed potatoes are real mashed potatoes, not a reconstituted powder. The mac and cheese is made in the kitchen. The fresh-baked bread arrives warm with honey cinnamon butter, and it's one of the most genuinely good complimentary breads at any chain restaurant. Value is exceptional by any measure in this category. You're getting in-house butchered, hand-cut, cooked-to-order steak at casual dining prices. The side quality reinforces that value. Texas Roadhouse consistently earns its enormous customer loyalty because it actually earns it. Health-wise, this is a steakhouse at heart. The protein is excellent. Grilled beef and ribs are high-quality protein sources. The sides run rich. The bread and honey butter will get you if you're not careful. But the core of the meal, the actual meat, is as good as you'll find anywhere at this price point. Number 1. Smoky Bones. Smoky Bones tops this list because it does the one thing that separates legitimate BBQ from everything else in the chain category. It actually smokes the meat. That distinction is everything. Real barbecue is low and slow. Meat cooked at low temperatures over real smoke for many hours until the collagen breaks down, the fat renders, and the flavor that can only come from real smoke and real time develops in the bark on the outside of the cut. Most chains skip this entirely. They oven cook or steam the meat, apply liquid smoke as a cosmetic, and then bury everything under enough sauce that the average customer can't tell the difference. Smoky Bones doesn't take that shortcut. The smoke ring on Smoky Bones ribs is real. The smoke ring, the pink layer just beneath the surface of the meat, forms during genuine smoking as nitrogen dioxide from the combustion penetrates the meat and reacts with the myoglobin. It cannot be faked. It cannot be applied after the fact. If it's there, the meat was smoked. At Smoky Bones, it's there. The pulled pork has genuine rope-like texture from being properly pulled. The fibrous structure of a well-smoked pork shoulder is distinct and identifiable. It has caramelized edges from the bark that form during the smoke, and that bark contributes a concentrated, deeply savory flavor that no sauce can replicate or replace. The brisket, when it's featured, eats like a cut that was respected through the cooking process. The quality of the meat itself is noticeably higher than most competitors. The chicken retains moisture because it wasn't overcooked under high heat to hit a speed target. The turkey is a genuinely good smoked option, lean, flavorful, and a solid choice if you're trying to eat with some health awareness in a BBQ setting. On the health front, BBQ is never going to be diet food and shouldn't pretend to be. But the base proteins at Smoky Bones, especially smoked chicken and turkey, are high-quality, lean proteins that deliver real nutrition. The sodium counts are elevated, as they are everywhere in this category, but the proteins aren't drowning in added sodium before the smoke even touches them. Value is strong. Generous portions, real BBQ technique, sides that don't embarrass the main course, and prices that reflect the quality without inflating for brand prestige. Smoky Bones is the best chain BBQ in the country, and in a category where the craft can easily be faked, that's a meaningful distinction.